Today we are working Psalm 13. Traditionally, Psalm 13 is used to overcome depression, to overcome any kind of trial, to overcome any kind of illness, especially deadly illnesses, and to provide protection during any kind of life-threatening situation. Today we're going to be using it to overcome sorrow. The way we work Psalm magic is very simple and effective and very powerful. We take the psalm in question and we read it out loud all the way through once without stopping. This is called an incantation. And then the second step is that we go back through that psalm and we search through it verse by verse, and we uncover hidden occult meanings within the psalm. We call these magic seeds, and when we discover those magic seeds by contemplating them and applying them to the situation at hand that we've come to the psalm for, we are in effect planting those seeds deeply in the fertile grounds of our mind, where they, in a very real way, take root and grow and blossom forth and bear fruit after their kind. And that's exactly what you and I are going to do right now with Psalm 13. How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord? Forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long shall mine enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest mine enemies say, I have prevailed against him, and those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in thy mercy. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. I will sing unto the Lord, because he hath dealt bountifully with me. We are starting out by addressing the Lord directly, and so let's orient ourselves quickly to what we mean by the Lord. Magic is different than religion in that we are aligning ourselves with an actual force that then can help us to create actual results. And rather than worshiping an external deity, which is what many religions would teach us to do, we are in essence aligning ourselves with a very powerful force of nature. And the Lord is the one force of all creation. So if you remember Star Wars, they called it the Force. It's very similar to what we're talking about when we say the Lord in the Psalms. The Lord is pre-gender. It's not a male or a female deity. It's not a deity at all, because it is all that is. There's only one. And there is nothing that can oppose it. There's nothing that can thwart it. And that's why one with God is a majority. And if God is for us, nothing can be against us. And that's why psalm magic is so powerful, because we are aligning ourselves right away with that force. It's important to just remind ourselves that there are different qualities associated with this force, and we're going to go through 8 of them really quickly. It is the force of life itself. That means it's beating your heart right now. It's what's causing you to breathe and animate you. It is the force of soul, and that is you are an expression of this force, an individualized expression of this force. We say it's similar to a beam of light emanating from the sun, and there are no two souls alike. Your soul is like a thumbprint, that there are no two thumbprints alike. So you are an extension of the Lord of the Psalms. It is the principle of spirit, and that means that it's that which cannot be destroyed. It's invincible and it's unassailable. And as a soul, you are invincible and you are unassailable. It is infinite intelligence. It knows how to create embryos out of babies and to have planets revolving around suns. All of those mysteries of nature that science has yet to discover, and some of which science can never discover because there are too many of them. Infinite intelligence, and you are connected to that same genius mind yourself. infinite truth. 2 plus 2 equals 4. And no matter how many times somebody lies about it and tells us that 2 plus 2 equals 12, it doesn't make it so. The Lord is the expression of truth. And where there is truth, no lie can prevail. No untruth can prevail. It is the force of love, divine and perfect love. And perfect love really does cast out all fear, because perfect love, as a mother loves a child, that's a very beautiful thing in the world, but it's a pale comparison to what infinite intelligence's love for you is, the Lord's love for you. You are loved very personally and very acutely and very infinitely. And when you can turn yourself to experience that love and to acknowledge that love, then there is nothing to fear. It is the quality of divine law. And there are no laws but this force's laws. You have to remind yourself that those laws are there for your protection and for your happiness. And the main law of the divine is the law of cause and effect. So for every effect, there is a cause. And the world of cause is the invisible world, and the world of effect is the visible world. And so if there is something in our lives which needs to be changed, it must be changed in the realm of cause. And that's why soul magic is so powerful, is because it is working within the realm of cause. It is also the quality of presence, divine presence. That means that there is no spot where God is not. God is everywhere and everywhere perfect. And you are never left alone. You are never alone. You are always at one with this force. And just the sheer awareness of the presence of this divine force is enough for you to have, be, and do whatever it is that you will. It starts out with, "How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord? Forever?" It's so important for us to understand that these Psalms don't mince words. So if you're feeling afraid, if you feel like you are sad, if you are feeling sorrowful and you just can't shake it, if it's just an awful, awful experience that you're going through, it makes a lot of sense that you're going to stand up and say, "Look, you, are you ever going to help me, or do I just have to suffer here forever?" You know, it's an absolutely reasonable expression to do that. And the Psalms give voice to that experience. So how long are you going to forget me, Lord? Forever? It's a good thing to start with, because you're getting that right out of the way. Now, this is also a rhetorical question, because we know in truth, the Lord doesn't forget anything. Not you or anything else. You are never off of the mind of God. You are always in God's mind. But we also have to remember that the divine forces don't come unbidden. We always have to make the first move. And even if that first move is getting upset with this force, to say, "What the heck?" That's fine. That's a way to do it. That's a way to come to this force to get our problem handled. "How long wilt thou hide thy face from me?" We can feel very acutely that infinite intelligence is hiding its face. Now, what is the face? The face is a countenance. And that's one of the ways that we can recognize somebody. That's why we have things like facial recognition software. That's how we recognize one person as opposed to another person, is by their face. When we see their face, we can say, "Ah, that's that person." When we feel like God is hiding its face from us, their face from us, it's as if we have been left alone in the world. But we have to remember, going back to the principles of spirit, that the principle of soul is that we are a divine extension of this force. That means that we are created in the moment. It's not like infinite intelligence created us sometime in the past and then we're left to our own devices. We are an extension of infinite intelligence that is eternally created in the present moment. So you are being created now. Each heartbeat is a reflection of that creation. But even once your body is gone and your heart doesn't beat anymore, your soul continues to survive and thrive. If it feels that infinite intelligence is hiding its face from us, it's because we forgot that we are one with this force. We forgot that. It started out, how long will thou forget me? No, you forgot it. God can't forget you. God can't hide from you. It's not in God's nature to do either of those things. But it is in our nature as egos to do both of those things and then project those problems onto the very thing that we are supplicating here. So when we have this feeling like we have been abandoned by infinite intelligence and that infinite intelligence has forgotten us, it's because we have turned our face away. We've turned our attention away from infinite intelligence and then projected that experience onto infinite intelligence itself and said, why are you forgetting me? Why are you turning away from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? Now, if you have a sorrow in your heart and you're taking counsel in your soul, if you truly are taking counsel in your soul is going to rebalance it. Your soul is not going to stand for you to have sorrow in your heart daily. But if you are taking counsel in your soul and not getting those results, it's because you're not really taking counsel in your soul. You're taking counsel with your ego and calling it your soul. Because if you were really connecting with your soul, the problem would be solved. You wouldn't have anything to be sad about. But you're not really doing what you say you're doing there. You are involving yourself with the machinations of your own ego mind, going over and over and over all the reasons why you're sad, all the reasons why nothing's working for you, all the reasons why you feel abandoned, all the reasons why you are having sorrow in your heart daily. So we want to make sure that we're not running away from these feelings of sorrow. We got to turn and face them. But at the same time, there's a difference between facing something and letting it go and facing something and dwelling in it. And when you're taking what you think is counsel with your soul and you're having sorrow daily, it means that you're taking up residence in that sorrow, which is exactly what your ego wants you to do. But your ego loves to say, hi, I'm your soul. Your ego loves to say, hi, I'm God. But you know it's not if you're not getting the response that you need. The response of your soul is always that of peace. The response of infinite intelligence is always that of peace. Why? Because your soul is a direct extension of infinite intelligence. So that's where peace exists. So if you're not experiencing peace, then it's not your soul that you're talking to. It's your ego. How long shall mine enemy be exalted over me? Now, in this case, your enemy is whatever the situation is. So if it's sorrow, then your enemy is the sorrow. So whatever you're bringing to the psalm, whatever the problem is, that's your enemy. How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? That's another rhetorical question. God's not responsible for your enemy being exalted over you. Blaming God for that is part of the issue. There's a part of your own mind we call it your ego. You can call it anything you want, but there's part of your own mind that is exalting that enemy over you. That is exalting that enemy over you and allowing that enemy to be exalted over you. So we have a cognitive dissonance going on here, that we are blaming infinite intelligence for things that we are concocting and things that we are conjuring in our lives through our own ego mind. But see, our ego mind is very sly and cunning. And that sly and cunning part of our mind that wants to keep us in sorrow, that wants to keep us feeling separate, that wants to keep those problems happening, makes us believe that we are victimized by something outside of it. In fact, it likes to be the voice in our mind that says, try this, try that. And then you try those things and it makes it worse, putting you on a wild goose chase. When you notice that you are prompted by your own mind to go in areas that increase the depression or increase the sorrow, increase the problem, you know you're listening to the wrong voice. Now, those two voices inside your head are like a radio dial. You listen to one or the other. You can't listen to both stations at the same time. So as soon as you start listening to the voice of your soul, which is what the psalmist was believing they were listening to earlier, when you're truly listening to the voice of your soul, then the voice of that ego mind is drowned out. And you know that you're listening to one and not the other based on the amount of peace that you're experiencing. So your ego mind will be the voice that usually responds first and loudest and cacophonously, and is always giving you an experience of fear. Whereas the voice of your soul is one that's always giving you an experience of peace. And it usually is not the first to respond. It's usually standing back. It's a still small voice. Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Lighten mine eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. So consider and hear me, O Lord. Now that's you tuning your mind to infinite intelligence, and that's a really good thing to do. But reminding yourself by saying, consider and hear me, O Lord, what you're doing is acknowledging that that force is always considering you and does always hear you. But until you tune your radio dial properly, you can't hear back properly. So now you're in effect tuning that radio dial so that you can get the information, you can get the response that you desire. It says, lighten mine eyes lest I sleep the sleep of death. Now, the sleep of death is not just when your body dies. The sleep of death is being part of the walking dead of this earth. We are all in a sleep of death. We are all in the zombie apocalypse, and we have been for a long time. And what that means is that nobody here, very few people anyway here, are awake, are aware. We are all involved in a lot of illusion, projecting illusion onto the screen of space and then interacting with that illusion and getting into agreement with one another about the illusions and calling those things reality. That's the sleep of death right there. So we are asking to be awakened. Lighten mine eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. We are finally acknowledging in this psalm, oh, the reason I'm having these problems is because I'm among the walking dead. I'm sleeping the sleep of death. So it's not like that sometime in the future I'm going to sleep the sleep of death if you don't help me. It's I'm sleeping the sleep of death. Please awaken me, open mine eyes, lest mine enemies say I have prevailed against him. So earlier we said, how long shall mine enemy be exalted over me? Well, now we're recognizing, wait a minute. If I'm opening mine eyes, if I allow the infinite intelligence to help me wake up from the sleep of death, then mine enemy can't prevail against me. The secret right there, isn't it? If I awaken, if I see things as they are rather than what I think they are in this weird dream that I'm having, then that enemy can't prevail because that enemy doesn't exist anymore. It's like waking from a dream, isn't it? You don't have to do anything special to awaken from a dream. You just open your eyes and there you are. It's all taken care of for you. The dream is gone. And that's exactly what we're asking for now. Awaken me so that no longer am I feeling like this enemy is prevailing over me because there was no enemy to begin with. And those that trouble me rejoice when I'm moved. Anybody in the world that's rejoicing about you having problems is just a pale reflection of the part of your mind that rejoices when you have problems. And that is that ego mind. And that ego mind is nothing to be afraid of because it's nothing that's real. It's a habit of thought that the human race has fallen into over a very long period of time. And that habit of thought is that of self-destruction, self-loathing, the creative powers of our mind turned against ourselves. And it says, and those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. The ego mind rejoices when you are moved. And you don't want to be moved. You want to stay steady like a rock onto your understanding and awareness of your connection to infinite intelligence. You can't be moved, but your awareness can be moved. You can forget that you're one with that. You can forget that you have nothing to fear. You can forget that infinite intelligence has the power to transform any situation, any problem, no matter what it is. You can forget that. And that's the part of your mind that likes to forget that likes to put you to sleep so that it can rejoice when you are moved. When you can, and being moved in this case means you can rejoice when you've fallen back asleep and forgotten that you have a way out of all of this. But I have trusted in thy mercy. So we're putting things in the past tense now because that's a very powerful way to quicken our results. So you're trusting in the mercy of infinite intelligence. Now, the Psalms hang out on the sphere of mercy a lot because that is a place where you can solve problems, where you can have solutions to painful situations. And that's one of the reasons why they're there. The sphere of mercy on the tree of life is sphere number 4, and it happens to be ruled by Jupiter. And it says, but I have trusted in thy mercy. So God owns that mercy. It's an expression of God too. It's an expression of this force. The Lord is what they call it in the Psalms. When you trust in what the Lord owns as mercy, rather than what you think you own as your ego mind, things change very rapidly. Because mercy, in the sense, means the gentle solving of your problems, the gentle awakening from a dream, the gentle correction of an error. Very gentle. It's merciful. It's not abusive. It's very merciful and very kind and very sweet and very gentle and very loving. So if you're not experiencing kind, gentle, sweet, and loving mercy, you know you're not dealing with the Lord. You're dealing with your own ego mind. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. To shall rejoice means that you want to put it in the present moment because that means that it's eternal. So if you can rejoice in the salvation of the Lord, that simply means the solving of this problem is now. If you rejoice, the problem is solved. Rejoice that the problem has already been solved. When you rejoice that the problem has already been solved, the rejoicing is the catalyst through which that solution realizes itself. So that's a very quick and easy answer to your problem. Get to that rejoicing right away. Get to that rejoicing right away. And this is not a means to run away from what you're feeling, not running away and being in denial about your sorrow. It's transforming that sorrow. It's actually the alchemical transformation of that sorrow from the base lead into the gold of joy. I will sing unto the Lord because he hath dealt bountifully with me. Now, to sing in the Psalms is a way of creating a disturbance, a holy divine disturbance, waking yourself up from the dream. So anytime you sing unto the Lord, that means that your vibrations are being cast forth. And when you are singing unto the Lord, then those are holy vibrations. And those holy vibrations gently awaken you from your dream, and they dispel, and that's a great word for this, they dispel any sorrow, they dispel any illusion, they dispel any problem, they dispel anything that is unlike the will of infinite intelligence. The will of infinite intelligence is that you be happy. The will of infinite intelligence is that you be happy. Bottom line. And so anything that doesn't look like that will is shattered when you sing unto the Lord, because he hath dealt bountifully with me. Now, if you're being dealt bountifully with, that means that God's will is for you to be wealthy, to be happy, to be healthy, to be peaceful, to have glorious and joyous self-expression, holy relationships, and all good. That is the will of the infinite intelligence. And that's how infinite intelligence deals bountifully with you, because that's the only way infinite intelligence will deal with you, because that's the nature of infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence creates you out of love, and there's nothing but that act of love. You're never going to be punished by infinite intelligence, but you can be corrected, but that has to come from you. And that's what this psalm is all about, is correcting things from that which has been sorrowful or painful to that which is true. And that truth is always peace, joy, success, happiness, and all good. So you just keep coming back to this psalm each and every day until you start to get a sense of certainty and peace about the whole situation. As soon as you get that little click, as I call it, then you can let go of it. You don't have to work it anymore. Go on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be.